Welcome. I was well in time and suddenly I was too late. I don't know how this constantly happens, but we made it. So, welcome. Welcome, Fatsimir. So, today, this looks super dark. Why does the image look so dark? I'm not sure. Okay. Well, we are continuing to working on our Ender CNC, of course, and this is how far we got last time. So basically, we completed the z-axis with two important things that we left out. First is the end stop, which we kind of have to insert here in this little corner. And the second problem was that the thrust bearings. Oh, I know why it's so dark. Ha! I think I changed the setting. One second. Yes, here we go. I think now it's better. Okay, sorry for that. And then the second one is a push on the lead screw here. On the bottom it sticks out of it, so if I push it, you can see that here this moves up a bit. Well, you cannot see it. It's a bit hard to see on camera, but like it moves up basically if there's pressure. For this one, I did order a thrust bearing. So it's basically just to plug the gap here. There's like a bearing that has balls to like rotate in this direction. So basically, we just prevent that coupler here from moving upward. I ordered those. They're not yet here. They arrive tomorrow, as always, 1 day late. But besides this, we finished the ZX. Another problem we still had, and I fixed it actually really quickly after stream. The bearings didn't quite go in because, like, for some reason, it was a bit too tight. Like what I printed here was just ever so slightly off. And the solution I then basically had at the end is I used I know the name for this tool. It's like flat metal tool. I put it here, and I basically just hit twice with the hammer, and then basically just pressed it in. I think it's a very good way of putting these bearings in. Just remember to not hit them directly with the hammer because you can damage them. But if you have like a metal part on top, the load will basically spread onto the bearing ring, and then you can just use a hammer to like press them in. Just to be sure that the other parts are also okay, and I don't want to do that on stream, to be honest. I already added the bearings into these side parts here, so you can see the bearings are also in. That worked the same way, quite easy. I pressed I pressed them in with the quick release clamp, like a third of the way. And I just use the hammer to push them in. Especially this one here. So they're basically in a pattern where two are here and one is in the center. And the one in the center, you can't use the quick release clamp, of course. So yeah, but it is like I use this red part here, put the metal tool thing on top, and just chisel. It's a chisel. It's called the chisel. That's the metal tool thing. And I just hit it in, and like this went smooth without a problem. And I also wanted to quickly try one of these rods, which worked. I could just press it in by hand. The problem is I don't get it out. Oh, I do get it out. Ha. I tried it before. But yeah, they have like a very nice fit. So that's perfect. Like they don't wiggle, but you can seemingly remove them by hand. I swear I pulled before the stream on that and I did not budge. But yeah. Um cool. So I did both of these just to prepare them. But yeah, not much to miss. So the plan for today, I want to play around a little bit with this Z-axis, this lead screw construction, just to make sure this moves smoothly with the stepper. Like, I mean, by now it's kind of okay, but we had a little bit of like trouble before. So I want to like just make that move with the electronics. And for that, basically what we need to do is we need to, it's somewhere over there. It's we have the main board of the Ender. So we'll quickly flash Clipper on that. And I have, you can see it here, like a mini tiny Raspberry Pi Zero. That's actually the same that ran the poor man's Core XY. So this one will power this machine. And to not have like a lot of like random electronics flying around, and welcome, Mr. Desai. That was actually your suggestion. Um, I redesigned or modded the control box of the LH Slinger. Like it's this high-speed 3 printer, which was all the rage, like, I don't know, like last year or the year before. And I quickly see there's some random parts missing. So this is how it will look like. And we will put this partially together today. So this will basically sit next to the Ender CNC and contain all the electronics because I don't want to have them on the CNC itself because like if I machine stuff, like we'll get super dirty in there. So electronics are separate. Then you have like this neat little door here to swing open. And then basically we have Raspberry Pi parked up here. So the 0 will also go there. We have the Ender mainboard here in the center. And then that's still to arrive. I have these 4 little breakout boards for RJ45 Ethernet cables. And these Ethernet cables will then connect this electronics box with the CNC. So basically, it's very easy then to remove. I was checking for different connectors, and like in the end, I set it with Ethernet. And I ordered special UTP cables with 24 AWG, so that should be plenty to drive the steppers. Also, power supplies in here, so there's like a neat little like unit to put us all together. And there's enough space that later we can add a relay and other things to control the trim router. Yeah, so that's like one thing, and I'm not quite sure where to start, to be honest. I think I would start with the end stop switch that we connect the end stop switch here. The only problem I see with that, we need to see how to do that because I don't like this cable later will be quite long, right? Because like we have to go via the entire x-axis. Just quickly pulled up. So this has to go later when we have this whole thing connected, right? Like the end stop switch is here. So it has to go through the drag chain in here, then somewhere down here on the side and through this drag chain. So I would just put like quite a long cable there already, just to make sure that we have long enough cable later on. Oh yeah, and then in the end there will be like the Ethernet breakout boards will be here in the corner, so they will all connect here. Hi on, welcome. So, enough talk, I would say. Let's just start with the end stop switch quickly, and then we can start messing with the electronics box. So this will go in here. I hope that fits. It should just fit. But before I push this in, let's quickly solder 2 cables to the switch. So basically, we just have these tiny holes here where we put them in. Let's quickly get some cables. And I will keep using these 4-pin silicone wires here. I'm very happy with them. Like I use them now in quite a lot of printer builds, and they work really well. So I would just aim for, let's just go for like a meter of cable. I'd rather have it a bit too long now. And looking at this, I should order a little bit of this cable because we might run out of that. Let's do 1 extra. A bit too long. Yeah, let's go with this length. And then this one is 4, we only need 2, so I'll just rip that down in the middle. And then the other 2 we will use like for the other end stops. And we already have a bit of cable. Has been a while since I used my soldering iron to solder actual wires. We were doing a lot of like soldering of, or not soldering, like heatset inserts and stuff. So what I will do now, I just split a little bit of that cable and pushed it through here. I kind of want to keep it together as much as possible. Oh, I see there's a bit of like filament stuff in there. Let me see. I think we need to clean these holes a little bit. Okay. Yeah, that was the problem. And I would try to solder this right here. Smart person would have removed some isolation first, but we can still do that. And then conveniently, this will hold our our wire for us already. Hi there, Ravenkeeper. Welcome. Hi, Jordy. Welcome, welcome. Is it a good soldering? I'm always a bit scared when he's like around when I do stuff like that, but like luckily he's not too interested. Also a little bit solder on the legs. Cat, can you maybe not walk over my keyboard? Just quickly double check. I don't like this solder. I will quickly melt this one again. Okay, should be fine. And now I should be able to just pull this in basically, or push this in. if it fits. Maybe we have to work a little bit on this. I think we can maneuver it then. I didn't want to test with it before because like once it's in, I think it's very hard to get out. I think my switch is a tiny bit too wide. Your cat sees the cable, yeah. He sees all the cables. It's one of his favorite things to play with. Okay, I think we have to like improve the shape a little bit. I don't feel like there's a lot missing. It's just a bit too wide. I think it's too wide, but like still quite a bit. Let me take off. It's a classic me stream. It goes in fine on one side. Let me just check that like it goes in on both. Like the long part is fine. It's just like the short ones. Yeah, here we go. I'm trying to move it in all the way without damaging it. Yeah, that works. The only problem is if it now doesn't work. Maybe we should have quickly did a test before that. I guess we will find out later. But that works, and then later we can route all the cables basically through here. Okay, that was this part. Let me get the cable that we don't need out of the way. I think they are too hard. I usually just send off a bit of the switch. Yeah, exactly. That's the way to go. For a classical stream, we'll see when something goes wrong. Yeah, that is true. Either my cat jumps on the Ethernet cable, walks over the keyboard and cancels the stream, or something completely goes haywire. And he is definitely in active mode. Consider making E3 with cake included. That would be proper. Hey, welcome to User Fragile. I'm just slowly catching up here on on stream. To once I think when building any E3CNC, there should be a cake eaten. Yeah, but Steve, we have to wait for the final stream. It's like, like only when the CNC is completed, you deserve the cake. Or is it like with Prusa where they put insert spots in the manual when you can eat gummy bears? We need to decide on that. Okay, cool. Let me just park that. Let me already switch to the heat sensor chip because that is what we will need in a second, quite a bit. Quickly set it to temperature. So, I would say let's quickly flash Clipper and get that out of the way. I do have a bit of a trauma from flashing these Creality boards with Clipper because I had one that like just did weird stuff. So I hope this one goes smooth. Besides that, from this box, for some reason I got like 3 of these what is this, like 4010 fans, these blower fans. I got like tons of those. No clue what to do with them yet. And this one we also will need later. And I think like properly Ravenkeeper, it's actually a question for you. Why did you not use these end stop boards that the Ender comes with? Because like that's a whole package and you like even have a JST switch on them. I actually quite like them. So the Raspberry is already on and running. So let's hook up to that. And it's a Pi Zero, so expect stuff to be a tiny bit slow. um, so let's just start with Kiao as always. So we do let's start with Git. Always fun flashing graphic boards. Yeah, exactly. There's a mod for them. Is there a mod for those? If not, that would be an amazing mod, and I should have considered doing that before doing that. There's a mod for those, but I wanted hidden switches, so I just clipped the switch off the PCB. Ah, yeah, okay, you can do that, of course. I actually had like some flying around, so I keep these like end stop boards intact for now. But the most only for original version, yeah, exactly. Because like my parts are a bit different because I use the Rodmod, so I have the linear rails here and the lead screw. You know what? While we're waiting here, we can do some stuff in parallel, right? We can already crimp like a JST connector on this end stop. Okay. So we want to install Clipper. I actually don't want the printer config because this will be like quite different. Oh. Um, so Clipper is doing its Clipper things. Let's do the only crimp for the stream. Just double check. Yeah, these are just JST. Yep. That did not go well. For some reason, it twisted the entire plug when I pushed on. Let's quickly try again. Where you see my crimping karma today is it's not good. Luckily, we only have to do two. And this cable is actually quite good to crimp. Oh, we still need a housing. And for these end stop switches, there's no polarity or something, so we can just put it in any. Oh, they have cute little labels here. It's quite nice. For us, also like just as FYI, right? We have 4 stepper drivers. We have 4 motors, but we have X and like we have Z1, X1, but we have 2 for Y. So one Y will be on Y and the other Y will be on E. And then we have 2 fans here. We will use them, but to cool the electronics. And besides that, we will just use the end stops. Oh, most likely I will use the bed or heater, like one of these two for LEDs. Yeah, but let's already connect it to Z. Ha! The first wire is plugged in. Our Clipper install is still it's going strong at pi 0 speed. Was like €1 for 10 switches, so figured it wouldn't hurt. Yeah, exactly. They're dirt cheap. Actually, I only had 3 left. I have to order again. What chip did you get? What do you mean by what chip? You mean on the Creality board? Are there different ones? I have no clue. I did not look into this yet at all. So it says STM32F103, and that rings a bell. I think I had F103 before. Also interesting, it says Ender 3 V2, but I had the Ender 3 Max. So I wonder if this is the original board or if the Ender 3 Max was launched once the Ender 3 V2 was already on there, like launched, or if they just at some point said like, yeah, it's the same board, whatever, just use the same board. It definitely looks a lot better than the. I had this original green Ender board with the A9188 drivers or something. It was horrible. They come with the clone chip sometimes. Yeah, well, no, it says ARM STM, so it looks like what I would expect. 4.0 is still struggling. GD32. No, that's not that one. Okay, let's just let the clipper install like do its thing in the background. I'll keep an eye on this. In the meantime, we can start messing with the enclosure. So I printed all the parts. The only thing I didn't print is the mounting point for the breakout boards. Because I don't have the PCBs yet, I want to wait printing that, but I just basically added like 4 screw locations so we can add like a plate there later. Oh, what I already did, this is the side door. This is printed in 3 parts, just so that doesn't need supports. So this section is one part, this section is one part, and for whatever reason, this like front flap here is another part. And they're glued, and I want to make sure the parts fit and the glue's dried, so I already did that yesterday. But it worked out pretty well, and feels very sturdy. We don't need the door for now. We do need this one, I believe, is the bottom panel. It's the front, that's the back, and that's the top. Put them to the side. Let's quickly check in Fusion. That's I'm not 100% sure yet how it goes together. But basically, from what I've seen, it's quite compact, so there's a lot of stuff going on. There are these 2 screws from the bottom that screw into the PSU. And then this PCB holder also screws in from the bottom, and it's technically all we need for now. I want to have the electronics attached to something. So I would say let's just punch in the 4 heatset inserts here on the bottom for the feet. And then I think that it is it for this side. And then we have 6 heatset inserts here. The enclosure is nice, yeah. I mean, I modded it a little bit. So originally there's like a much bigger mainboard in there. I think Octopus. So I just modded it to accept a DIN rail, which will be like a very short DIN rail, but I still wanted to have a DIN rail in there just that we can mount like a little bit other things and just, put a different mainboard in at some point or something, then I don't have to reprint anything. I think I'm a... Oh, shit. I swear I put this down, like I'm 400 degrees. For heatsink inserts is a bit high, especially for PLA. I was like, these are like going in way too fast. Make sure that these are so flush. Yep. Cable noise a little bit. I feel like these holes are a little bit differently dimensioned than on the Warren parts. Maybe we can check later in the CAT. Like it works well, but I think they have a little bit less depth to them. So, but here, like I push it in like tiny bit too low, and it immediately create like a little like ring around it. Oh, yeah, that's for later. Cool. Okay, then the PSU is mounted like this. But before we do that, I do see we have progress on the clipper installed. Yes. So then let's also quickly perform action Moonraker. Yes. And then this can do its thing. I think that should be quite quick, but in the meantime, let's quickly check out what for screws we need here. Hi there, Raj, welcome. For audio and 2.5mm heatsets, what would be a nice hole size? 2.2, since OD5 uses 4.7. Ravenkeeper, I use 4.2 for the 5mm ones in my designs. I use 4.2 by 5mm deep. E3CNC also have a C name. Yes, everything has C names. Don't ask me why. There's no logic behind that, but all my things have C names. I want to check this screw. Like it's modeled really nicely. Everything has like a proper fastener here. So this is a M4 by 10. I'm so happy. So I printed all these boxes. I mentioned it before. I have a whole suite of these boxes, and I just ordered like random screw sets. Oh, okay. I feel like this misses some screws. Always fun buying things off Marketplace and similar things. There's literally one screw holding this whole thing together. But it also means somebody opened the PSU before, which I mean, I also did on my Switchwire. Because I switched the whole cover out on my Switchwire. I have a 3D printed one. I don't think this PSU will have a lot of work to do in this build. because it literally only has to drive the motors. There's no heat bed, so this is like horribly oversized. I might consider swapping this out at some point. Like if I need this for another build, I will swap in like a smaller PSU. Let's see. So this should go in this orientation. I think it's these two holes here. And then this is the holder for the main part. But before we do that, let's jump to our Clipper install. So we have Clipper, we have Moonraker. Let's also install Mainsail. Step by step. And switching to the wrong one, we need to quickly figure out what kind of screws we need here. Wild selection, M310 button head. Which seems quite long, to be honest. But that's work. Oh, sorry, I'm the wrong scene. And we could have technically added these heatset inserts before, but like, where's the fun if you can just add it on the install part? So there is one here in the center. These two are for the DIN rail. There's one more here, but I think the DIN rail will not be that long, but let's just throw it in here as well. And then there's here two for the cable channel. And the four on the outside, these are leftovers from the octopus mount, which we don't need, of course. This is our tremendously long DIN rail. This one is a reuse from the first iteration of the switch wire. I think I want to have a washer under that. And it's kind of like the base of our electronics enclosure. Technically, this is as far as we need to build it, but I kind of want to continue building this because it's quite a neat little thing to put together. Okay. Why not swap this PSU with the Satsuma? I was thinking the same actually, Mr. DSI. I'm just not sure if this one fits in the Satsuma. But for now, I'll leave it as is. But this might be something I will consider doing in the future. Because Satsuma is a little bit on the weaker side. It has a 150 watt PSU. The 150 would be ideal here. The thing is what we can do, because the 150 is also a little bit slimmer, I think. I hope, maybe not. But we can use a small adapter plate to mount it here. Okay, so I think we installed everything. So we can go into Clipper. Oops. Oh, we're still in the Kiao folder, my bad. CD Clipper. And then basically we need to configure that bad boy. Let's quickly do some research. Creality 422 Clipper Flash. Oh, this is nice. It says the noisy one. But this is the Clipper config. This is not the config I want. But we can just wing it, right? So we want extra low level. We have an ARM STM32. Oh, STM32 F103. This was exactly what we had, right? STM, yeah, F103. This is exactly what we have. F103, we don't have that. Disable, we also don't have that. Bootloader offset, we do want to have a bootloader. I think 8 is fine. Because I definitely want to flash Catapult on that, because you can only flash this board via the SD card. So this will work. I'm just not sure about the bootloader offset. 150 was underpowered for Satsuma. Yeah, definitely. The 150 is barely doing it. But the Prusa Mini also comes with a 150 watt power supply. So yeah. Send you Clipper thingy for the 422 on Discord. Oh, that's amazing. Do you have their bootloader offset 28 kilobits? Again, I'll also go for the 28 kilobit. Worst case, we have to flash this again. That's not the end of the world. That's it. Save configuration. Yes. Okay, then make. And this should poop out the bin file, and that we have to copy on an SD card. But you know what? Let's actually first put Catapult on that thing. Oh, I missed the comment interface? Okay, well, let's first do Catapult anyways. Because then we only have to do one time the flashing with the SD card. I'm not sure how crucial it is. I think that's quite important, that part. we can now fix that. So processor model, STM, F. No, F103, but we have a F105. Oh no, F103. F103. That is correct. We don't have that. We don't have that. 28 kilobit bootloader we set. Communication is PA10, PA9. Application start offset. I'm not sure. Do we have a reset button actually? I don't think this thing has a reset button. I don't see a reset button. And the status LD. But I don't know the LD pin, so we don't do that. Yes, safe. Never seen one of these, yeah. But let's maybe quickly see if some crazy person did the same as me. Yeah, let's just roll with it. Let's just see what we do. Let's just make that. So basically, we just built Catapult. Catapult is a bootloader. To flash that, we have to copy it on the SD card and put it on the board. But once Catapult is running on this board, we can later just flash it over USB. So that's why I want to have Catapult on there, because this like copying process with the SD card is quite a pain. Out deployer bin. So let me copy that over. So this would be in catapult out. Oops, catapult out deployer bin. I'll just copy that to volumes SD, and then we call that firmware bin. So that's important. So basically, if you insert SD card to the main board that is called firmware bin, it will flash it. So I'll just copy that onto the SD card here in my laptop. And that should be there. Yeah, so we have a firmware bin file now here. Let me eject this SD card. And then this would be ready. So the only thing we now need to do basically is we need to power on the board. So we have a little bit of work there left. So I think it's smart to just also install the back of the enclosure here, because then we have that outlet and we can connect it up. And then we need to connect the power to the board. So we have to also mount that. And then I think we are in a good state. The only thing to consider, can we later reach the SD card easily? Yeah, we can. Okay. Let's roll with that. I do have it somewhere. Oh, it's a red part. I do have a little mount. where we can put it together. For 2 board needs a new bin name every time you reflash with SD card. So next flash must be firm with 1 bin. Oh, really? Oh my god. That is hyper annoying because you have to remember that. You see, how does that go on? I think it's this way. Uh-oh. Right. That is I thought I used these. Oh no, this is M3. Ha! I overcomplicate everything. I was using M2 self-tapping screws, but in factuality, all we need is some M3 screw. I was overthinking. So there's this spacer part basically, and the screw is grabbing a little bit into that, which I'm actually not mad about because then it holds on. Oh, I put it on the wrong way. This has to go in this direction. And now we can screw it onto here. This screw does not feel like going in. Let's see if we have more success with this one. First one went in without a hinge. Like these are all a bit difficult. This one went in. Sorry. We have to drink something. And this also in. I feel like it's like minimally misaligned. This screw here in particular. Okay. I will not force this in. We have enough screws holding this board here on. It would be nice to have this screw here in, but it's like a millimeter off. It's really weird. Yeah, no, it isn't. Okay. Here we go. Now we have like these little hooks here. Should be able to just hook this in and it's mounted. Then we want to push in this one. Before I do that, this is the original wiring from the Ender. I'll just leave it now. I just hate that these cables are red and black because it's not the proper color code. Let me first see how it goes in. So this fits. And let me quickly check in Fusion, but I think we need to have like one heatsink insert here and one on the back. This is fine in browser. It's, M38. Yeah, and there's one heatsink insert here. Oh, sorry, it's a bit behind the thing. One heatsink insert here, and then I'm pretty sure, yeah, the second one is from the back. Oh, I think they're both from the back. Okay, let's do that. Let's do the whole round of heatsink inserts here. Because there's one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and there. It's quite a number. I think that was all. Let's also quickly check. So from the we attach now on the bottom only with one screw. We need to check what kind of screw we need for the bottom connection here. M310 countersunk. Okay. Um, let's mount this one. It's M310, so it's like 2 mm longer, but that should not be a problem. On this side, we need something longer. Oh. I want to use the black screws here. Yeah, I think 16 is fine. No, 16 is too short. We need like longer. $18. Perfect. And we have one M310 from the bottom. But I think we should first hook this up here before we do that. So I'm not 100% sure. Let me see. So the red one is the one that is switched. So I think this one should be the load. I will put this to load. Doesn't matter too much. And I hate that these cables are red and black. Like I repeat that again, but so I might replace them. But on this side here, it's hot glued, so it might be a bit of like a messy job to remove them. So I think I'll just keep them. And like it's nice as hot glued, I guess. By the way, it's quite interesting. Like, so this enclosure uses a mix of flatheads, like the countersunk screws and socket screws. And it seems like that the creator used the countersunk screws to prevent overhangs, which I mean, not sure if you really need that, but it's a nice use of them. Then you know what? Like while we're at it, let's just also add the back side. Because then it's a bit more stable if we add the back side and the front. Let's quickly do that. Then it looks like already like a little case. When you added 70 heat inserts in the cat and fusion hangs before you save. Yes, this is very relatable. Um, you can transfer this to anything you do in Fusion and then Fusion hangs. But I feel like it got better. Like I remember like, I don't know, like 2 years ago, Fusion was like a lot more unstable than it is today. The only thing that still annoys me is like when you have like, when it computes like something that is very heavy, it just hangs and there's no way to just tell it to like, hey, can you just cancel this like compute operation? Because the whole UI hangs. Like this is a bit stupid. Uh-oh. Trouble in paradise. So I already saw this is like peeking out a little bit, but here's this indentation, so I thought this would like make up for that. Oh, it does. Okay, you just have to position it correctly. Never mind me. Oh, also what I just now see, we forgot 4 heatsink inserts. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what I mean. Like, so this is a flathead screw head, like a cardstock one, and then this one is a socket. And I think these are supposed to be 10s, but I'm using 8s because 8 I have in black. Using the same 2 heatsink inserts here. Yep, caught it. I would love to have a wireless soldering iron. That would be so cool. I don't think if that exists. I don't think that exists, but it would be cool. Actually comes together quite nice. And later, like my idea is in this area here, to have like an outlet where you can just plug in the spindle, like not spindle, like the trim router I'm using. Because like here in the back, there's like quite a lot of space. So you can set an outlet here. Just have to like organize the cables here properly. And then you can have like here like a relay that controls the router. For me, it's less about turning it on automatically. But if I hit like emergency stop and clipper, I also want the router to stop. So I think it's quite nice if I then have like a relay to turn off the power. Yeah, let's just throw it on as well. Because now we have literally like an electronics box that comes together quite quickly, actually. Later, the only thing it's missing are the cable channels here. And then there's the door. Somehow. I don't think this aligns very well. It hangs somewhere. But yeah, that's a later problem. Okay, so let's cable this up. I'm not going to do the cable channels yet. Let's do that later. I do basically only need to power one cable, and then we are more or less done. Let me quickly check my cable stash. Normally, I would run like a relatively thick wire here. Let's just do it. I have available, but there will be not a lot of power running. So it's not technically necessary to have like, what do we have here? 16 AWG. Does it really need to be this long? Because like we go into the cable channel here, we go to the back. Yeah, kind of needs to be this long. We will redo this later. For now, I will not crimp those. I will put like cable shoes on those later. You know what? It takes like 5 seconds. Let's just do that. Just need to quickly figure out which size. I think these are too small. Yeah, they're too small. That's one. Yeah, these. And we're done with it. And then on the other side, ooh, I vaguely remember I ran out of straight connectors. I only have these, but I think they're too big. Let me quickly see if I can. Yeah, that works. Passes the tuck test. But I have to get the. Have to order the red ones again. And that's it. They also use the blue ones here, now that I see it. So we even have a matching color scheme, isn't it nice? Which mainboard is that? That's just some random Creality something mainboard. Because like the parts I'm using are from Ender 3 Max Plus, something like that. So it's like a relatively random selection of just reusing these parts. So there will be a cable channel down here, which, to be honest, while we're at it, let's just throw it in. So there's one, these two. We have M3 8. Use M3 8 pocket pad here. It's a really nice electronics case. Like, it's well organized, very compact. I wonder why these are cut in like two pieces. Like you can just make this like one printed part. Way too orderly. Plus is the top one. Okay, so this is wired up. And there's another one. Oh, let's just complete this. The only thing that I found a bit annoying, like this is like a little bit loose. This will later be anchored here actually on the side a little bit, but on this side it's freestanding. I wonder why there's no screw from the top, just like to secure this in the center. Would make it a lot more stable. And it's not like it's gonna break or anything, but would just feel nicer. Braden Giver, you jinxed it. You were complaining about fusion freezing, and now it's freezing. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's just this annoys me a bit. Maybe I'll do something about it. Let's see. Okay, but it was like quite the detour from flashing. So technically now we can turn it on, right? We can supply power. This should power on the power supply, and then we have power on the main board. This is the SD card with the firmware. So I'll throw it in here. And technically that should be it. This is the first magic smoke moment. There's the LED. I mean, not much more will happen. Let's just give this a hot second. And then the real test will be, do we see that showing up on our main board? So this is another USB cable. I hope this is a good one. I'm hooking it up to the Raspberry. And the Raspberry later will be here in this little corner. But let's just check what's going on. Never messed with a stock E3 board, but from what I read, Catapult need to erase stock 28 kilobyte bootloader. The 28 kilobyte is for Clipper if you keep the stock bootloader. Some say you need STM32 cube app to flash bootloader area of those STM32. Let's just see. I'm not sure. That might be the case. ls/dev/serial/ wait, what was the command? My brain is frozen. Let's just quickly follow the guide. This is for Canvas, but will work fine. So let's do serial by ID. I always forget it. No such file directory. That means usually that it doesn't detect anything. Exactly. So we only have this hub here. Let me see if I have to power cycle. And then we can also check the SD card if it changed something. It takes quite a while to turn off now because there's not a lot of load on it. Let me quickly check what's on the SD card. Yes, that's warp. It's I'm very happy with that. It's a nice terminal, and I do use the AI step sometimes. But it's also just a nice terminal. Yeah, it didn't flash. It still says firmware.bin. So it did not flash. But it also doesn't show up. That could be the cable. Because I'm not sure if this cable, like these USB cables sometimes don't have data. Let me quickly grab like a proper USB cable. Because even if it's not flashed, it should show up. It should show up. Oh, convenient. We have a fan that we can use directly here. And more fan. Oh. Um, Where is a good one? This one looks like a cable I can trust. It also powers from USB seemingly because I plugged it in and now we have a LED here. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, yeah. Back in the Ender days, you had to modify the USB cable and cut the 5-volt power because otherwise the main board would stay on. Uh, yes, here we go. Now we have now something shows up. So the this cable is no bueno, directly in the trash. Okay, so this means we have this works. This is fine, but it didn't flash at all. So let's quickly check. So what Mr. D's I said could be true. It just doesn't flash from the firmware bin. Let's do some research. Because I never attempted that. With the deployment method. Yes, so that's the UART. That's what Ravenkeeper said before. PA9 and PA10. But we didn't even get there so far. So these settings are pretty much what we also had. Let me quickly go to make menu config just to compare. So we have build catapult 28 by 8 megahertz, USART1 P10 P9. Yes, application sound offset 8 kilobit. We have exactly the same settings. So I think that's correct. It's just like I'm not sure what the deployment method. That could be what Mr. Lee's eye says, that you have to use the STM32 Cube app. Wait, let's try to flash Clipper. Let's just see what happens then. If we flash Clipper. Make menu config. Just double check. We had the wrong one here. So this is the PA. This one. Bootloader offset 28 kilobyte. That should be all good. Quit. Yes. Make. Let's quickly try that. But let's also quickly check what Ravenkeeper said with these names. Um, yeah, this port. Oh, sorry. I'm reading and I'm not showing you. This port can only be flashed via the SD card. You cannot flash it with utility or USB. Format the SD card to fetch 32. I did that. Put only the firmware file on the SD card. Rename the firmware file to give it a unique name. What I do personally, oh, that's what Ravenkeeper said. Current date and time. Example, this one. Maybe that's why I didn't pick the firmware, because like whoever had this printer before flashed the firmware before. So let's just do this. File name must end in bin and must not match the last file name that has been flashed from the Clipper master GitHub. Okay, let's just try flashing Clipper, and I just give it like a random ass name. Let me delete the firmware file. Volumes SD firm. Okay. And then SCP, like SCP is basically copy over SSH, because like this is running on my MacBook and the SD card is connected to my MacBook. So I secure copy from Carla, that's the Raspberry, or like that's how the CNC will be called. Carla at Carla local, and then colon, and then this is the path I want to copy. And now it's not catapult, but it's Clipper out, and that's called Clipper bin now. And then we call this firmware 123 whatever. And now we have this random ass firmware file here. Let's see if that does more. The other thing is like, I now see the LEDs on. The power supply is actually not on. So I think to reset the board, we also have to unplug USB. That could also have been a problem just now. So maybe it didn't actually flash because the board didn't reset. Okay, the SD card is inserted. I will now unplug the board. Then the LED here should go off. There's the LED on, the power LED. I unplug the board, LED off, and if I'm not plugged in, it should flash. But I don't think there's any indication here that it actually does flash. Let's just give it like half a minute. One thing, Ravenkeeper, what's the one thing? Let's just see if we get something. So this is still here. ls. Here we go. So this one is now running Clipper, I guess. So that worked. Let's try Catapult again. We still have Catapult compiled, so I'll just copy the file over again. No SD card. Unplug the SD card again. Now it has the SD card. Yeah, now I have two firmware files. So 1, 2, 3 bin we need to delete. So now there's one bin file. The 422 does not change its USB name like normal boards do, so it won't show if it's flashed with Clipper in a serial name. I flashed mine like 10 times before it's like, okay. Um, how can you then see if it runs Clipper? Like you can set it up in Clipper and see if it does that. But also, how do you detect if it's running Catapult? Okay, let's see. But it kind of discourages me now from flashing Catapult. Because if now, let's first check if we have Clipper running on that before flashing Catapult. um, so that means let's just try like a. How can I check if I have Clipper running on there, like easily? Okay, so this is our main sail. We don't have printer config yet. And technically this should be, we should have created a sample file, to be honest. Printer CFG ender 3. It doesn't really matter which one. All I want technically is the MCU for now. Maybe we need a printer object. I think there's kinematics none. Devices, refresh. And then it should be this one here. Or TTY USB. That could also work. Let's go for this one. You need to clear all the errors in mainsail before you can see if it's there. I need to clear all the errors. Exactly. Yeah, you have to basically go through all the things here. Max set velocity is not valid because we say motion system none. This looks like Clipper is not running on this board. Oh, you know what we could also do? Um, I do have the display. We can hook the display up and see if it still does the Marlin stuff. I would just need to remember which of these plugs we need. Yeah, this is definitely like it can't connect to the board. It will time out in a second. Hi, the Ballistic Deck, welcome. Finally made your live stream. No, like the CNC is only this so far. This is the entire CNC. I decided that I want to play around with this Z-axis first a bit to make sure everything runs smooth. Before I put everything together, because if that system doesn't work and I put everything together, it's a bit of pain to later fix that. So I'm just checking which of these three plugs it is. It's the XP1. Yeah, now it goes to error. Unable to connect. Exactly. And then I connect it here. And now we can see what the display does when I connect it back on. Nothing. Do I need to have power for that? It's very nice that when I flip the switch here, my camera goes to no signal. No, there's nothing on the screen here. Is it XP? No, it's the wrong port according to that. At least there should be like display backlight. Exactly. So it's the wrong plug. But it doesn't seem to do anything. So it's not running Marlin anymore. That much I can tell you. So it flashed something. That looks very Clipper. But it's not Clipper. Or like at least like this does not work. But to be honest, I did change this one. So let me see if I just have the wrong one. Because like in the Ender config, it says this. And what we can also quickly do is we can copy the display type over. No, it's not doing it. Using a trim router, will you be able to set speeds dynamically through a G-code or only manually? Only manually. Like I don't want to have like a cheap spindle, because you need like a lot of electronics to make them work. There is a trim router. Like I was looking at different models. So I'm now having the Makita 702. So that's like a very popular model for homemade CNCs. But I was also looking at the Muffle at this one, FM1000 by Muffle. And there is one version, but it's like the price difference is quite steep, right? It's like double the price of the Makita. It's also more powerful. But there's one version of the Muffle that allows, or Muffel, I guess it's called, that allows like controlling via like a DC signal. But it's like 450 euros compared to like 150, or like I paid like 130 now, I think, for the Makita. So it's like literally like 3 times the price, and it's not worth it for that. And this one is quite a bit taller, and the cable enters like on the back out. So I want to have enclosure, and then enclosure needs to be like a lot bigger just because of the cable. But it's a very nice machine. Okay, so unable to connect. Let's see. So it's not running Marlin, so we flashed something. Oh, I want to run the wrong tab. So we do have one device, which is clearly this board. So it is alive. Ravenkeeper, do you see something wrong here? I'm not sure. You had to add a baud rate to the printer. The baud rate is 25,000. That is not very typical, I think. but it's not mentioned here. I see you also sent me a starter config, Ravenkeeper. I did miss this one. You can also already copy and force move. G-code arcs does not hurt. Yeah, you have this one. This one. Let me quickly check in the Clipper configuration reference for the baud rate. The default is 250,000. Yeah, that's also what we have in the configuration. We can specify it, but I don't think this is important. No, it's not doing it. Let me backtrack. So let me just empty the SD card out. I'm quitting here. I say make clean and make. So I'm just building Clipper again. Because we did have the faulty configuration. I'm not quite sure if I screwed up there and didn't rebuild after we had the corrected interfaces. The default baud rate is 250,000. Yeah, exactly, Mr. Desai. My drawing does show the 42 if I remove the baud from the printer. Yeah. But which baud rate did you configure there? So we have out Clipper bin. I will copy this now. Clipper out, Clipper bin. Oh. I have to unplug the SD card sometimes. Like if I only pull out the micro SD card but leave the SD card adapter in the slot, like it doesn't detect the whole thing. Okay, let me quickly clean out the whole SD card again. And then we copy that. So we do have the firmware Clipper 123 bin on there. Let me eject that. It's important that you eject those because the FAT system doesn't have doesn't handle this very well if you just yank it out. Okay, I put the SD card in. Hmm. Let's quickly check if we see it. It is still there. But it still doesn't connect here. That's weird. Yeah, it's a fake chip. There's the firmware to try here. Let's and there's the original firmware. Oh, firmware download. Let's try flashing the original firmware. I think that's a good idea. That's an excellent idea. Let me quickly copy the original firmware onto this SD card. There is a very weird binary file, which is now on the SD card. Oh, we didn't reset after flashing. You have to reset it, of course. Right? Or does it now like boot straight into that? Let's give this like another 20 seconds. Needs a reboot, yeah. But it still doesn't do anything. Is there some limit on SD card size? Because like it should, Ravenkeeper, maybe you know that, it should also rename the file, right? Because like, if I now look at that SD card, it still says exactly the same file name. I remember it renamed the file that it flashed. You wanted the Marlin Satsuma, I wanted the Marlin E3CNC. It's a good question, but right now I neither have Marlin nor Clipper. Hmm. Maybe it would have been a good thing to first connect the screen to see if it actually worked before. Your flashing to UART and USB connection should be PA11, PA12. Not for this board, Steve. It needs to have Ravenkeeper sent it to me and I also saw it online. Oh, here it says baud rate to 22,500. Creative boards doesn't read in the bin file. My Ender board always did that. Weird. But I wonder why this doesn't work. Because it doesn't flash it back either. Is there some limit on SD card size? Because the SD card I'm using is 32 gigabytes. Hmm. Hmm. It's weird, like, I mean, I would expect the original firmware to be flashed. Hmm. Because here it just says, maybe let me try to reformat the SD card quickly. Flashed so many, can't remember what was what, yeah. Let me quickly make sure this is FAT. Okay, I erased the SD card. I copied the original firmware back on it. I see. And there it says explicitly you turned off. You put it in. And then you wait for the update to finish. I have my bin file somewhere. Rainkeeper, I'm not sure if the bin file is a problem, to be honest. I'm not sure if the bin file is the problem. Because like if the bin file would be a problem, it would now flash the original firmware again. But that's not the case. Now, of course, I had like these like broken, half broken boards, and I threw them all out. I'm just checking if I have a SD card in here. I see in my instructions to flash without the USB cable in. I mean, we can do that. Just like for some reason, like resets my camera connection. But that doesn't seem to do a lot more, to be honest. I'm a bit annoyed that I didn't turn it on when I got it. I should have just like turned it on and made sure that like everything works correctly, because then I would now know if I did that or if it already was in that state. Power off, disconnect USB at the first bin. SD power on from 24 only, no USB. Wait 1 minute. Oh, 1 minute. I will wait 1 minute. I think maybe it was not quite a minute. And we have to remove the SD. Maybe we're not. I didn't remove the SD and it doesn't rename it. So maybe I'm in a flash loop. Let's give it another 20 seconds just for good measure. Okay, I'm turning it off. I'm removing the SD card and I'm turning it back on. Oh, the other thing is, I just realized I'm now flashing Ender 3v2 on here. But this display is not from Ender 3v2, so this is not the correct. Wait, Ender 3 GitHub firmware. Because like this display cannot work. Okay, let's try flashing Clipper. Because like, so the Ender 3v2, of which this mainboard technically is, but for some reason on Ender 3 Max, they also use this. That comes with a different display. So my expectation right now was like I want to flash back to the original firmware to see if everything is okay. But this display cannot work because like the firmware is not expecting this display. So let's there's this Clipper firmware I downloaded for the 422, not the one I flashed myself. I will put this one on the SD card now, remove the other one. Eject the SD card. Then you get the screen with Max. This is the screen of the Max. The Ender 3 Max is basically oversized Ender 3 Pro. Okay, SD card is in. I power this thing on for 1 minute. And then we have to remove the SD card. I think this is the step we messed up and missed. 30 seconds. Because before we had the SD card in, so I think every time I powered it on, it reflashed the firmware basically, and it never got out of this loop. Exactly, it will just reflash. The thing's like I'm looking at this with my Ender 3 experience, and back in my days, the board just renamed the file to the firmware out or cur.firmware or something like that. And then like it was just on a SD card, but it was fine. So I think this one is just yeah. Maybe it's time to buy an ST-Link. Also an option. But I think you can also use a Raspberry Pi Pico to program those. I do have a Pico. Okay, that was 1 minute. Even more. Should really be a form and journey. Yeah, but that's the core of my channel, right? Like everything that should be like a form and journey takes at least like 1.5 hours for me. Okay. I mean, nothing will happen here. Let's quickly check that we. Oh, maybe we should plug in the USB. That would also help. So we have one found. Nothing changed here. Still the same. Just for good measure, let me quickly copy and paste it here. Save and restart. But it doesn't find it. Because now it will already reload and just be in. And it's annoying. Hmm. Can use a Pico. I've had luck with a serial to use keyboard like the CP2102. Yeah. The thing is like I have the Pico, I don't have the others. I flashed now Clipper. That was the Clipper 12 binary I got from this blog post from the Clipper forum. But let's try again with the Clipper I compiled. Okay, so volume.c is empty. Now we have this firmware bin here, which is, hey, I didn't pay attention. This is Catapult. We want this one here. Then let me eject the SD card. Let's try this one more time. And otherwise, I fear we are stuck. Okay. I insert the SD card and turn on. Let's wait 1 minute. Twenty more seconds. Okay, let's turn it off. And I eject the SD card. Turn it back on. Let's see if we find it. Okay, it still finds the same one. Nope, it does not do it. Okay, then I think we need to flash it differently. But I would first want to look into that, and most likely we'll just try it like tomorrow. So the goal forward, or like the way forward here would be, um, because I do have a Pico laying around here, but it's for the 8-bit Creality boards. I mean, this could also be something. Maybe we can try that. Maybe the name is. And this is also like something I think about, like, because I have a 32 GB SD card only. I don't think I have any of these like tiny SD cards flying around anymore. Because like potentially the board has a problem with the big SD card. I do remember there was some random SD cards in the 2.4 kit. Yeah, there's a 128 MB SD card. Let's try this. Um, I just my 422 board like a month ago. Oh, yeah. I sometimes also have these like moments where I'm like, yeah, I didn't touch this for like 5 years, so I throw it out, and then like a week later I need it. Flashed one just 1 week ago. Ravenkeeper, I can send it to you, and you flash it for me and send it back. Okay, let me check what's this. This SD card seems to be empty. Okay, so I named it now F123 CLE. That's like very short. We have a very small SD card. So let's see if that works. Touching with 4 GB SD that came with the Ender back when I bought it. It only accepts this one SD card, Ravenkeeper. They are most likely paired and factory, that like this board only accepts this one SD card. And yeah, 128. Like, to be honest, like I'm not sure how you procure like a 128 MB SD card. Did not expect them to produce those anymore. But there was also like right now I checked, there was nothing on it, so I'm not quite sure why they put it in there. Okay, turning it on with the Mega SD card in there. And now thinking about it, like I remember this SD card had also like a little bit of trouble because I wanted to use it in a Raspberry and like it didn't flash properly for some reason. So maybe this is just short a little bit. This is a 422 board. Yes, that's a 422. That's 32-bit STM quiet board. I have that, or maybe the 427. Yeah, exactly. That's the 422. USB is not in Ravenkeeper. The other end is loose. This SD card is meant to flash the M8 PM. So yeah, I think this is why they included it, that you can flash stuff. Okay, I think this was long enough. So let me kill that. I'm positive. I'm in positive spirits. Let me eject that. Let's see if we find it. Yeah, it's still here. That does not seem like it worked. Ah, okay. Then I'm not sure what the problem is. It should just work, exactly. Because I maybe I did a mistake compiling the Clipper firmware. But then the one that I got from the Clipper forum should have worked. I've had a lot of trouble with Clipper fatigue and degradation. I think all the log reads writes are rough on SD cards. Maybe I'm unlucky. Yeah, that is a thing. Like SD cards are fragile little things. And like the things like we had discussion on my Discord also. Mr. Lee's I think was asking. So these SD cards, the silver SanDisk ones, they're really crappy. They're just slow. They're like really slow. And I'm using now the not in the Pi, of course, but the Extreme Pro SanDisk, and they're like way better. But there's also differences how many read writes can SD cards handle. They're like those like the long endurance ones. They're meant for like security cameras and stuff. They can handle a lot more read writes than like others. Maybe Catapult messed with the bootloader. Yes, maybe that happened. Never used Catapult stuff. I used yeah, but even if Catapult messed with the bootloader, yeah, no, then it would be gone, the bootloader. Maybe that's where I screwed up. I don't recall anymore. I did flash Catapult, right? No, I didn't flash Catapult. Did I? I mean, it's on video, so we can go back and look at it, but I think I did not flash it. Okay, but then we need to flash that not with the bootloader, but normally. Creality 422 flash without SD card. Hmm. Bootloader is definitely gone, yeah. Could be. Okay. Then I would say this is a very unsuccessful stream. So I think my plan is, I mean, we built an electronics box. Did I flash catapult? I'm still not sure if I actually flashed it in the end. We compiled it, but did I flash it? If I flash catapult, is catapult running on there? Let's try this last thing. I don't know if I can put this in the view mode. I wouldn't know how. Um, so if we have catapult running, maybe technically. Um, Catapult is not installed, and we would be here at this step here basically. Um, then we can use the flash tool technically to flash it. Let's just try what that does. So we have catapult scripts flash tool clipper out clipper bin. That's correct. And then this is the def serial by ID. Let me quickly copy that from mainsail. Oh, a correct. Yeah, this is exactly how my streams go. But it's the thing, like, no, if no clippers on there, it should still be in the catapult bootloader. Oops, no serial device found. Oh, I unplugged the USB. My bad. Now, did I have the USB unplugged in... Wait, let me quickly one more time try the clipper. No. Serial device in use. Oh, it's most likely because clipper tries to connect here at the moment, so I'll stop that. Yeah, but it's the same. So the is also not up. Having flashback to using an Arduino to flash the bootloader. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you can flash it with Arduino as a programmer. Yeah, this is not working. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, this touch. Oh, you don't see it. But he says the same. Doesn't need to. Okay, let's assume the bootloader is damaged. Maybe that happened. Can we flash the bootloader? Okay, so there seems to be a recovery path. But with the ST link. And I think this is something I would need to buy. Did you think where you have to rename the firmware file? Yeah, it was unique every time. So I'll get something like that and give that a shot. Okay, so I screwed up. Classic stream for me. Yeah, most likely I did flash the catapult. I think I changed my mind before doing that, but seemingly that was not the case. So all I have to show for the stream is a little box, which is cool, but not very helpful, to be honest. Not very helpful. Um, oh, that really sucks. I'm a bit annoyed. But yeah, that is how it sometimes goes. Yeah, so I'll order like a programmer, and then I can reflash the bootloader. And then maybe we can just ignore that this stream happened, and next week we can just quickly flash it. Well, it is what it is. Probably cheaper to buy BTT Pico unless you really want to save it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I can also buy a new board. I mean, the programmer, if I want that from the local page, is like 550, so it's like 10 euros. It's half the price of a Pico. So half the price of a Pico. But then it's also like the danger is like it doesn't work. So then I have like a stupid programmer. But I'm wondering if I cannot use because I do have like Arduino Uno and I have like the Raspberry Pi Pico. I'm pretty sure I can use them as a programmer. And the thing is I need to have a bootloader. So I'll have to read up a little bit how to recover from there. BG Pico even gives a TMC controller. Doesn't this one also have TMC controllers? Doesn't this one have TMC controllers? You gave me the config. Oh, it's not configured there. What kind of separate drivers does that thing have? I thought it was TMC 2208. VREF on that bad boy. Oh, nice. Oh yeah, I see the screws. Okay. Need to just, yeah, exactly. I remember that. Okay. No. Okay, cool. Then I'll call it quits for today. Sorry for the very unsuccessful stream, but yeah, setbacks happen. I put it on that. 427 has 28. Ah, okay. Well, then this one is just too old. I just remember something. Give me 1 minute. I have this contraption. It's funny that Ballistic Tech actually asked me about this like recently. This one, like I used that, or this is my little test stand, but I honestly completely forget what this is running because I think this is a Nebula pad. Yes, this is a Nebula pad. So this thing is running Clipper, and this is a 42 board. So what we can quickly try is firstly this thing, this Nebula pad can flash Clipper on the board without a SD card, I think. That's one part. But secondly, we can. How is that? Oh, this is powered from the main board. We can try what happens if I connect this main board to this Raspberry. Oh, and fun story, Ravenkeeper. This one has the clone chip. This has the GD. Okay, so this is connected. And this detects a serial. Let me quickly set this up in mainsail because this should run Clipper because the Nebula pad runs Clipper. So sorry, this is like a bit wild. So I'm using this specifically as a development platform for Nebula Pad, which was this like Clipper Pad Creality launch at some point. And this was meant to be like an extension to existing Creality printers. So you could just replace your display on your Ender with the stock cable, and this thing basically would flash Clipper on that, and then you have a Clipper setup on your Ender 3. Um, so this should run Clipper. I think the Sonic Pad was like the V2 of that, yeah. Oh, I stopped Clipper. That's not helpful. But this does the same. That's interesting. Also does not connect. Almost likely because the communication interface is not correct. On this board, the communication interface is on the... Because this doesn't use USB for communication, it uses the things here. But I would still wonder what happens if I connect this Nebula pad to this board. Yeah, because here it can communicate, it says 21 degrees, so this is fine, of course. So what happens if this is literally the only connection. Can I make this reach? What happens if I connect that? Because most likely now it will say like, oh, don't detect the board or something. Let's see what it does. It takes definitely longer now to start up, so it's not happy. I should also do something with that. Like I didn't use it for like 2 years, to be honest. Hmm. I'm just waiting. I think it will go into some error state. And maybe it offers me to flash the board for me. But yeah, using this board might be an option. The only thing then is we need to use this header for communication instead of USB. Machine motherboard communication abnormal. Please scan the QR code and report. Okay. But can I? Oops. It does say reset. I remember that the scrolling on this thing was horrendous. Reset factory settings. Let's try reset factory settings. Because then maybe it just, I know that it has this like initial setup where it asks you, oh, what's your printer? And then like it flashes the motherboard. Let's quickly check that. Last attempt, and otherwise I'll look into that stuff. I remember there was also something like this one didn't have root access, like you couldn't unlock mainsail basically. There was some stuff like I totally forgot all the things about that. Takes its sweet time. Yeah, but actually it was quite a fun thing. So you can print something, and it's a full printer here. But obviously, like it doesn't print, so it has one of the hot ends is the bed, and one is the hot end. Then this is the extruder, so it just spins this arrow basically. And then X, Y, Z has like an end stop at the end here. So this is a fully functional printer. As far as the Nebula Pad is concerned, it's printing. This takes really long. I really hope it just resets now and doesn't go into like a communication abnormal. Yeah, it does have the menu. So let me go to English, next step. Yeah. Terms and conditions, yes. I just removed it here. Oh. I don't want to set up my Wi-Fi now. Um, Copy firmware. Please download the firmware from. Ah, okay. So it did need the SD card. I misremembered that. Okay. Then this will not work. Okay. But I do have like another board here. So the plan I would now hatch is basically, because I did not use this for like a long time, I'm willing to let go of that. I think these were like sold not very long. Can you still buy that? Nebula Smart Kit. Yeah, you can buy that. So that's still a thing seemingly. But yeah, so then I would let go of that, and then I would use this board instead of this board. That would be my plan. Or I just buy like a small mainboard, what Ravenkeeper suggested. I'll see. I'll look into this tomorrow. I will try to rescue this with flashing. If that doesn't work, I'll either go for a new board or use this one. Okay, cool. Then, now for sure, that is it for today. Very unsuccessful. But at least we started electronics case, which looks pretty cool. Next week I should also have all the lead screws, and then we can also continue building on the main thing. I do still want to test the steppers, so that's still something I want to do. Then I'll see how I do that. Okay, cool. Then enjoy your weekend, hopefully with more flashing success than me, and see you next week. Bye.